Okay, so today what we're going to look at is Yoast SEO version 12.2 by Team Yoast. Okay, so what we're going to do is go over here to the left-hand side and click there where it says SEO. So you'll come to this page where you can go through the configuration wizard if you want to, but I'm going to show you the various sections that I use and briefly describe why, but otherwise in my SEO ebook you can find out a lot more detailed information. But in the features section, what I want to show you first is that this is where the XML sitemap is now. So in the past, it used to appear over here on the left-hand side. If you click on this little question mark and then click on See the XML sitemap, then it will actually take you to the sitemap that you're used to seeing. And you can also read about these other various sections by clicking on the little question mark. But what I'm going to run through today is the parts of this plugin that I use in order to get my clients' websites ranking at #1 on the first page of Google. But in this case, I'm just going to run through what I actually use and be completely transparent with you. In the Webmaster Tools section, this is where you get to connect to the various Webmaster Tool options. For Bing, I will use Webmaster Tools to verify it. Often for Google Search Console, I can use Google Analytics to verify that, and so I don't usually have to put the code in there. But this enables you to look at the data in Google Search Console and the data in Bing Webmaster Tools for this particular website. Okay, so under search appearance, we've got the general section here. If you click on these here, it will give you like a title separator. I don't usually ever change that. I just leave it to what it is there. If you want to edit the home page and the front page, you can click to edit it there, because in some past versions, you could actually edit it in this section. Then this is one of the important bits that I fill in, where most cases I'm working with businesses. So I'm going to put the organization there, put their business name in there, and then a logo in there. And if you click on this here, this data is shown as metadata in your site. It's intended to appear in Google's knowledge graph. So it's just going to help you to be found more easily for your business name. The second thing that we look at is the content types. So often when you open that up, it will look like this. In every case, I'm going to set the posts to yes and the pages to yes. So show pages in search results, yes. However, then we have a whole set of other options here. Now, usually what happens is that you'll have a page on your website called Testimonials, and that will list all the various testimonials. So if you go over here, and you'll see that we've got testimonials section there. So if we go in here, then you can see that there's a whole stack of testimonials, which usually go on a testimonial page or in various places throughout your site. And what you don't want is for WordPress to create an individual page on your website for each one of these testimonials. So giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra pages that maybe only have 50 words on each page, which would then be classed as thin content. It would also be duplicate content for any time that testimonial appears on a page, and also for the whole testimonials page itself. So in this case, what I want is with the testimonials to set that to no. So we don't want to show the individual testimonials in search results. So not showing testimonials in the search results technically means those will have a no index robots meta and will be excluded from the XML sitemaps. So it's not the testimonial page, it's the individual testimonials, because the testimonial page is up here as a page, and that's going to be given a yes. And so it's the same with all of these. The team, in my case, I've set all the team members to no. I don't want it to create an individual page for each team member that can be searched in Google. But in some cases, you might want that to be set to yes. You might have therapists and you have content on about each individual therapist, and you want Google to take people to those pages. And on the actual page up here that lists all the therapists, you might only have, 50 words about each therapist, and then it takes them to a page about the therapist, which is 500 words long, for example. Same with case studies and portfolio. It kind of depends how you're using these on your website. If your portfolio was just a whole stack of images, so there's just one image on a page, then no, you don't want people to see that. But if the portfolio has like 500 words of information for each portfolio item, and you want Google to find that as a separate page, then you can click yes. Same with case studies, clients, etc. In the media section, we're going to click yes for that, because that means that each image will be redirected to its attachment. And what that means is that you don't get like a page in Google that just has an image on it and nothing else, because that is definitely going to be thought of as thin content, duplicate content, doesn't help anybody, and it doesn't help your website. So that's why I want to keep that on yes. Now in the taxonomies section, this is where you have like categories, tags, formats. So for most local business websites and online stores, I'm going to set this to no. So if we go down here to the tags, it's set to no, and then the format, disable that. So what that means is that nobody will be taken to a page that just lists a whole stack of blog posts in a certain category, and nobody will be taken to a page that lists a whole lot of blog posts that have a specific tag. The only reason you might want that to happen is if you actually had a blogging website and you want somebody to go to a page that lists a whole stack of blogs. But on any local business website, on an online store website, you want people to go to the service pages, to the blog pages, and to the product pages. You don't want them to go to a category that lists a whole stack of blogs. So I'm always setting these in here to no. The only exception is if it was a product category. So the first top two are always blogs, but it might have down here product category. And in that case, if a product category had 10 different products in it, then that might be a page that I want Google to take people to. So if you were selling secondhand clothes and you had a product category of dresses, secondhand dresses, then yes, absolutely, I want Google to send people to that page. Usually I wouldn't index it if it was product tags. I'd usually set that to no. In the archive section, we have the author archives and the date archives. Again, WordPress was set up as a blogging site originally. So if you have a massive blog, then yes, maybe you do want someone to go and search in Google for a particular author, and then for them to be able to see that author's very specific blog posts. But if you're an online store or a local business, chances are you've only got one person that's writing content anyway, and nobody's going to be searching for them as an author. So in those cases, you don't want these so you're going to disable them. Breadcrumb settings, enable, disable, I don't really take much notice of that. And then the RS section, I don't look in there either. Okay, so if we go to the Search Console section, then we'll see that Google has discontinued this, and so we don't seem to get any data in there anymore. We used to be able to connect it and get data, but maybe they'll bring that back at some point. In the social section, this is great to be able to add in all your social profiles. This is to let search engines know which social profiles are associated with your site. So it's just helping Google, and that's going to help your website and all of the social sites to be connected. Then with Pinterest, if Pinterest is important to your business, then you can confirm your Pinterest site, which is usually going to be important, particularly for online stores. And then if you want to, in the Twitter and Facebook section, you can set up some stuff in there. And the great thing is that if you need help, you can click on that, and then there's a video tutorial there on how to actually set up the Pinterest side of it. Same thing, when you come into this Twitter section, you can enable that, and then if you want Twitter to display a preview with images and a text excerpt when a link to your site is shared, Same with the Facebook one here. If you want Facebook and other social media to display a preview with images and a text excerpt when a link to your site is shared, then you might want to enable that and put the information in there. In the tools section, we have the bulk editor, and that just means that you can go in here and you can change things on your site. So this website is still being set up, but just say, if we go into the description, it will show up like my descriptions here. So just say in the contact us and the about us, I put something in there that I wanted to change, then I could just go in here and more easily change it on every one of those, rather than having to go into the each individual page itself and change it. So that's these settings over here. Now we'll go and have a look inside an actual page itself. So now we're in the About Us page. So we're going to scroll down, and often what happens is that it has like a little bar like this, Yoast SEO. It's almost hidden, especially if you've got tons of stuff down here underneath the page section. So what you want to do is click on this little arrow over here, and this is going to open up this section for you. Up here you have the opportunity to put the focus key phrase. Now, if you click on that, it's going to give you a whole stack of information about the focus key phrase. Some people mistakenly think that by putting the focus key phrase in here that you're actually helping Google to optimize for that keyword, but that's not how it works. All it does is putting it in there means that it's now testing your page to see how well you're doing for that particular phrase. So if you go down here, it will tell me the various things that I need to improve to get a better result. Now, one of the things that is a little bit of an issue with it is that it's saying that I should put the key phrase in the slug. Now, a lot of the recent research that I have been coming across, so we'll just click on here, edit snippet. So that's the slug there, About Us. So I don't want Large Hope to be in that slug of About Us. And in most cases, as you'll see in a lot of my SEO ebooks, when I talk about the About Us page, you don't need to really optimize that for anything anyway other than About Us and your business name. But if this was a different page, so a service page on my website, I really want to have a different SEO title, potentially to the slug, compared to the page title, compared to the H1s on the page. That's what works incredibly well to rank. And so I don't necessarily want the same key phrase as my target keyword. So bear in mind that Yoast SEO doesn't always give you absolutely correct information. Sometimes it will tell you that the image alt tags aren't filled in where in fact they actually are, but it just can't recognize it on the page. Like the SEO title is too short, but in this case it's the About Us page and I don't want the SEO title to be any longer. That's what Google wants for that page. But Yoast SEO has to give you the information based on what's good for the average page. So yes, if this was a service page or a product page, I absolutely want that title to be longer, but not for the About Us page. So there's certain things that obviously when you've got like 10 years of experience of SEO that you're going to be looking at in the Yoast SEO analysis and being able to go, well, that actually isn't important. And if I did that, it would actually give me a worse SEO result for this particular page. So in my ebooks, I go through for every single type of page on your website, how you want to fill out these sections. So in this version of the Yoast SEO plugin, you can see the mobile version and the desktop version of what it's actually going to look like. Mobile, desktop. You can add related keyword phrases using Yoast SEO Premium. That's not something that I have ever done because I have like my whole own system of doing that, which is detailed in the ebooks. So cornerstone content, again, is not something that I have actually used for my websites, but I use the principle of it when I'm working on sites. So that's making sure that I have the most amount of links to the most important pages on my website. And then we've got the advanced section. So this is where you can go in and you're going to put, it's set to the default for yes, because this is a page. But if it was a page that was about like a thank you page or something that I actually wanted to hide from the Google search results, then I can go in here and I can click no, and that will hide that page from the Google search results. I'm going to keep this yes, I don't change that. So as a default in WordPress, whatever the slug is for your page, so it's largehope.com about us, that is what the default canonical URL will be. And so it says leave empty to default to the permalink, which just means this slug up here. The only times that I would use this section here is if, one, I have a page on my website that is duplicate content of another page on my website, or a page on my website that is duplicate content of another website that I own. And so in that case, just say I had 2 pages on this site for some reason that were important for me to have the information there twice for the user, but it was not good for Google. Then what I'm going to tell Google is, even though that this page says about us, I actually want this page, the about us, to be a canonical of the home page, for instance. And that can happen sometimes when you've got a theme where on the home page it will put the content from the about us page, but then also create an about us page. And in that case, because it's duplicate content, I want Google to know that it's the home page of my website that's the most important. Another instance of it might be if you have 2 websites, one's like a commercial website and one's a residential website, but you actually have a page on both of those websites that's the same. So again, what you're going to do is decide which site is the most important. So it might be a commercial website for something, and you've got one of those commercial pages on the residential website, which would make sense because you might as well cross promote your businesses. But Google doesn't like it if the content is exactly the same. So in that case, what you would do, if this was the residential website, then you're going to put the link in there for the actual commercial website. So just say I had an about us page that was on largehope.com, which is this website. And then just say I also had another website, like my personality types website, and just say the about us page was exactly the same on both sites. I mean, I wouldn't do that for an about us page, but this is just an example. So this is the largehope.com website, but down here in the canonical link, I'm going to have personality types, about us, or whatever written in there as the canonical URL to say which site is the most important. So I hope that makes sense, but if not, you can just ask some questions in the video comments box. So then we go over here to the readability section. So you can see that it's going to give me some help and guidelines here on how I can make the readability better. Obviously, what you want to try and do is use what information it gives you here to make the readability better. So you've got to judge it based on common sense as to what actually works and what doesn't, but you want to try and get, obviously, as best score that you can for the readability. And if you click on that little arrow, there's a whole section there on how to use it. Then we can go into the social section here. So this is for Facebook and this is for Twitter. This can be incredibly useful if you're going to be, I'm not going to really be sharing the About Us page on social media, but if you have a page on your website that you're sharing a lot on social media, then the title that you've created for the SEO title for Google and the meta description that you've created for Google may not be the best title and meta description to be showing up on Facebook. So that's where you can come in here and you can create a completely different title and description that's an image that might show up on your Facebook posts, and a completely different title and description and image that might show up on the Twitter posts. So that's my overview of the Yoast SEO plugin. And so just remember that it can look like this with only the tiny little arrow there. You need to click on that, and then you want to click on these various sections here to be able to see it properly. So the last thing we're going to do is to look inside the posts or the pages section itself, where it lists all the different pages or posts on your website. And you can see this is kind of the standard thing that you'll see. And over here, this is part of the Yoast SEO plugin. It will show you the number of outgoing internal links on a page or a post, and the number of links that are going to this page or post. And you can order them, so I can click this little arrow here to show me the order of the ones with the least or the ones with the most links going to them. And you can see that I've got 3 links going to the Contact Us page. So I'm in the process of setting up this website. So what's really useful is that I can see that, you know, I've got going to have very important pages on my website, like say the WordPress SEO page, or the website SEO shielding and recovery page. And those are the pages that I'm going to want to have the most amount of links going to internally in my website. So that I'm telling Google that that's like a really important page on my website. So in the SEO ebooks, we've gone through that as to how to set that up. There's a variety of ways that you can do that by using sidebars and footers and that kind of thing as well, to get lots more links to the very specific important pages, or what might be called cornerstone content. And you can also mark the pages which are cornerstone content so that they'll turn up here, and then you'll be able to go directly to them and just see how your linking is going to your very important pages on the site. And then you'll also be able to see if there's a lot of links going out of a particular page. So if it was a very, very important page, maybe I wouldn't want that page to have too many links out of it. So if we have a look again, we can click the little arrows and we can get a list of the ones that are got the most links going out. So you can see a lot of these are draft because, like as I said, I haven't set up the site yet. But you get the idea anyway. Then what you can do is you can go up to this section up here that's got screen options. And you can click SEO title, meta description, keyword phrase. And we'll apply that. And so then what it's going to show you is, so if we go maybe into the published ones, and it will show me the SEO title and the meta description, and if I've got a keyword phrase in there. So I can have a look and see which ones are missing and which ones need to have more work on them. Like I said, I'm setting this site up at the moment, so there's not much content on there, but it can be very helpful on your particular website, because there might be a page where you haven't specified an SEO title or meta description. And also it's going to, show you the scores there, and there might be pages where, like this red one here, I'm not really trying to rank that in Google, so therefore it doesn't really matter. But for the home page, I might want to go in and see if there's anything that I can legitimately do in there that's actually going to help the SEO on that page. Then you can also click on the little help button up there, and if you go over to this side up here, it's got Yoast columns up there top left. So we click on that, and then this will give you some information on how to use the SEO score and the readability score, which is this one here, this little feather thing, and also how to use these features here to improve your internal linking. So there's a whole lot of extra information there that might be useful and that might be more specifically relevant to your industry or business. So I hope you found that useful. Please do ask questions in the comments if you have any questions. Always happy to create more videos to answer people's questions. Click on the videos for previous or new versions of Yoast SEO. See the video description for my SEO ebook author page, and request an SEO ebook for your specific industry in the video comments.